The origin of numb really came from two separate events which came together to become what later was known as numb. The first one came from the Nebraska Conference Council on Ministries, when a gentleman named David Jefferson was chair of the Hunger Committee, and he gave a presentation about hunger projects that the United Methodist Church had around the world. And I remember he made a statement that stuck with me always. He said that every time you take a breath, somebody in the world dies of hunger. And that just stayed in the back of my mind. I couldn't forget it. And then the second event, not related to that, ended up being a part of that later on. I had a friend named Greg Bakewell. We'd met on many bike rides. We've been friends for 30, 40 years now. We would meet up on bike rides and ride with each other. He was a member of Faith United Methodist Church in Omaha, and when he found out I was a United Methodist pastor, we would ride side by side, talk theology, church politics, etc. And a lot about the small towns each of us grew up in. And he was in Endicott and I was in Pleasanton. We're riding along, and I remember we were on a ride across Nebraska, and one morning, a fluke in spring weather in Nebraska, it was 36 degrees, raining and sleeting. And Greg and I found ourselves in a hog barn with some other bike riders, literally huddling together to try and stave off dying from hypothermia. And Greg said to me, there's got to be a better way to do a bike ride. They don't even know we're out here in this barn. And after the weather broke and Greg and I were riding along, he said, Bill, you know a lot of United Methodist churches, maybe we could start a bike ride. And then I remembered what David Jefferson said, every time you take a breath, somebody in the world dies of hunger. I thought, what if we could hold a bike ride and we'd charge people to go on that ride, and we'd take the proceeds from that ride and donate to world hunger, and maybe we could do something about those people dying of hunger. And so numb started that way.
The legacy of numb is not only the hungry people that we fed, the friendships that were maintained year after year and even to this day. People knowing that those friendships are what brought us together and the ability to do something that was bigger than ourselves. The fellowship, the coming together, the annual welcoming of each other, and not only amongst the riders, the leadership was just phenomenal. People took their roles, took their jobs seriously, and owned it. And Bill let us do that. He kind of got out of our way and said, take it and own it, and whatever you do is going to be great. Every year we knew as we were leaving numb, we were saying goodbye to our friends for that year, but we were going to see each other again. The last year, we built up to that, knowing that that was going to be our last year. Every person in our leadership team said goodbye to the group. They talked about how much they appreciated everything everybody had done. And group after group that had come back year after year after year shared their appreciation. And the leadership got up with tears in their eyes and choked voices, Bill, Greg, and said goodbye to the group, and how much that this ride has meant to them and how much good we all did together.
When the 25th numb came about, knowing it was going to be our last one, I had a mix of emotions. I was very thankful that we've been blessed with 25 years of good biking and a good organization and program that worked out. We were very blessed and thankful that we were able to raise $1.2 million, far beyond what I ever thought we'd do. But it's difficult to say goodbye to something that had been a dominant force in my life for 25 years. An interesting thing, I found out that numb is not done. I was on a bicycle ride in April across the state of Arizona. And I was at a rest stop on my bicycle near Tombstone. And a rider came up behind me and saw my jersey and said, "Numb ride. Do you know about the numb ride?" I said, "Yes, I do." And I took my glasses off and says, "Oh, you're Bill Ritter. I've seen you on the web page." He said, "I've always wanted to do that ride. I've heard such good things about it." And later on that day, another couple came up and saw my jersey and said, "Numb ride. We were on the numb ride in the late 1990s. and they said, thank you for putting on a ride like that. We go on a lot of different rides, but this one, to know that we were riding our bike and the fact that we were riding our bike was going to bring food for people who may not have anything, is very rewarding.